Welcome to the Mindset Architect Podcast, where it's all about creating the life you want, the business you want, and making a real difference. Join us in unlocking the code to true success. And now your host, Tony Caliendo, Master Coach with Rethink Coaching.
Welcome to the Mindset Architect Podcast, episode number 34. I'm Tony Caliendo, Master Coach here at Rethink Coaching. And as always, I want to thank you for sharing your time with me. I say it all the time, time is our most valuable asset. And the fact that you're sharing it with me means so much. So today I want to share and do a little bit of a deep dive on a subject that we've talked about in the past. And you've probably heard numerous times from other coaches, other authors, other leaders, and I want us to take a moment and really get it on a different level than we've ever got it before. And I want you to walk away with a tool that I'm going to introduce you to today that helps you assess where you are on this journey. And what I'm referring to is you hear it all the time, you become the sum of the 5 people you spend the most amount of time with. And I've heard it, and it wasn't until I really started analyzing and using the tool that I'm going to share with you today that I got it on a really high level. And I'll share with you what prompted it. So it's been a while, yet I was out of town visiting a friend, and we were having dinner. And this person is lovely, and they've been in my world for quite a while. I've always had good conversations with this person, yet I would say over the last year or two, those conversations have not been so impactful or so powerful. And what I noticed was at the end of this dinner, I couldn't wait to leave. I couldn't wait to get in my car and drive away. And it wasn't that I didn't love them anymore. It wasn't that I didn't have great history with them. There was something about that moment, that conversation, that led me to really wanting to just flee and get back to my hotel. And so I did. I left, and it really disturbed me. It bothered me because I couldn't put the pieces together as to why I was feeling so depleted and anxious and ready to part ways from that event. And so I went home and did some thinking, as I like to do, and really just sat with my journal, had some meditation music on. And I know this sounds really hokey, yet I had to, because I was feeling in such a funk that there was no way I could go to bed, because it would be a challenge to get a restful night's sleep. And when I started to analyze what made this conversation different than previous conversations, what's made this conversation different from conversations I have with other people, where I leave invigorated, I want to go take on the world, I feel motivated, what was the difference? And what I came to realize is the majority of the conversation we had that evening was about the past, and it was about people. It had nothing to do with forward movement. It had nothing to do with creative ideas. It had nothing to do with talking about exciting things that we were going to do with our lives and our businesses and our families. It really was just about what happened in the past and about people. And I realized that after a while of having that conversation, there was really nothing about it that was making me feel good. And it was probably something we could have had a brief conversation about that lasted maybe 2 or 3 minutes and then moved on, but we didn't. It was the entire evening. And so I want to share with you that I believe there's 5 levels of a relationship, or 5 levels of a conversation that you need to be aware of to evaluate if this is the type of conversation you want to continue to have, and does it line up with your desire and your goals to move forward. And I'm not saying I'll never have dinner with this person again or spend time with them. They're a dear friend and I love them, and I will. However, I'm going to go into it with a little bit different mindset, a little bit different tactics to see if I can't steer the conversation in a way that will be beneficial to not only myself, to them. And so these 5 levels can be a game changer. And again, something that I'm going to ask you to look at and use and see, where am I with the different people that I have in my world on a consistent basis? And are these conversations moving me towards my goal, moving me in a way of excitement and energy, or are they just sucking the ever-living energy out of me like my dinner experience did for me? And so I'll go through the 5 levels real quick. It's if you want to draw it out, I will share this PDF with you. If you just send me a message, I'll be happy to share it with you. It's a pyramid that I've drawn, and it's the first level is the past. That's level 1. Level 2 is people. Level 3 is value. Level 4 is action, and level 5 is success. All right. So these are the 5 categories that I use when I'm assessing. I don't want to use the word judging, but in a way I am. When I'm assessing the level and depth of conversation I'm having with people. And again, I want to say this. This doesn't mean if we're not having a level 5 conversation that I'm going to remove you from my world. It just means that we're probably not going to meet with the same frequency as I'm meeting with people that I have a level 5 successful conversation with. So please understand that. There are people, this person that I had dinner with makes me laugh and is entertaining. And so that person will always be part of my world. It's just, I get to decide on how much. And then I also get to use this tool to seek out the people that are showing up at a higher level in our conversation. So let's just run through this real quick. Level 1. And I'm going to say this, and please don't think that I'm judging or putting somebody in a box, but it's a pretty low level conversation if all you have to talk about is the past. And to me, that is somebody I have a lot of empathy for, because I can't imagine sitting in the space of the best things that have ever happened to me are already done. And this level of conversation is about what I used to do, how awesome I used to be. Do you remember the time when? We all have had those conversations. I mean, you get together with lifelong friends and you're going to talk about the past. You are. It's just part of your history. However, when we're stuck in that level of conversation about speaking about the past, that is a fairly low level conversation. It's not going to get me fired up about moving towards my goal. And so this type of person likes to live looking in the rearview mirror. What's happened? Look at me. I used to be this. I used to be the star football player. I used to be whatever it is. And that is a low level conversation. The second level is the people level. And I think we've all been around this before. It can appear to be a bit gossipy. And it's really where we just have a conversation about people, and not in a good way. I mean, my gosh, I think about when I have conversation about people, it's usually about, oh my gosh, my friend Robin, she's just freaking crushing it. She just did a killer presentation. She was keynote. That's a high level people conversation. Low level people conversation is one that I believe happens when you're projecting some of your stuff out. And again, it can appear rather gossipy or judgy. It's talking about people for the sake of making yourself feel better and putting them down in a way. That is a low level conversation. And so think about that. And it has its place, right? Like I said, I can have a conversation about people that I'm impressed with, that I'm wanting to be more like. That's a healthy version of it. If you're having conversation about people for the sake of gossip or the sake of making yourself or themselves feel better, that is a very low level idea, or low level of conversation. Level 3 is what I call value. And that is really where you talk about ideas. You talk about the pros and cons of helping each other out and being in each other's world. So I think about this, and I think about the conversations I have. And I want to make this clear. I do not go into every conversation with wanting to see what I'm going to get out of this. I love conversations that happen organically, where we start talking about ideas and we start talking about pros and cons with each other. We start talking about, what does this look like? What, and just almost spitballing ideas back and forth. To me, that is the coolest place to be, because you're starting to generate an energy of creation. You're starting to generate a feeling of possibility. You're starting to help each other look at blind spots, right? When you talk about pros and cons, you're starting to help each other look at some blind spots that maybe you wouldn't have seen on your own, and or they wouldn't have seen on their own. And that is truly magical when you can have that level of conversation. I am very blessed. I have a really cool variety of friends, and I have amazing clients. And the friends that I choose to spend time with, We spent the Easter holiday together, and we all were going around the table saying, what we appreciated about each other. And I remember saying what I loved most about this group. It's a group of 10 that I have the privilege of calling friends. And what I love most about the group of people that were at our table for Easter, breaking bread and celebrating a holiday, was that we help hold each other accountable. We encourage each other, and we call each other out on our crap. We all have an intention of allowing the space for that person to show up as the best version of themselves. And when we see them blowing smoke up your butt, we call them out on it. I couldn't ask for a better group of friends. And it's all done through love, and it's all done through compassion, and it's all done because we're all striving to do better every single day. And so that level 3 conversation for me is where things are starting to pick up, where things are starting to feel a little bit more impactful. And it's just value. It's the value you get from the conversations. The next level, which is what I love even more, is the action level. And this is really cool. In this group of friends, we've got authors, we've got realtors, we've got entrepreneurs that do different companies, production, everything is in there, finance folks, and just really creative branding people are in this conversation. And so you can imagine when we spitball and we're talking about value, or we're talking about an idea, or somebody's calling me out on my shit, that we will move into the action phase pretty quick. Okay, what can we do? Like, what can we do to help execute on some of the things that you've talked about, some of the things that you said you were going to do that you're not doing, and how can we add value to it? And I got to tell you, when that happens, when you're getting ideas and thoughts, and they're coming at you from a place of loving care, and you can see the path through the actions that you talk about creating, that is high value conversation. There are so many times where I'm having these conversations with my friends or my core group, and I'm like, wait, I got to grab a piece of paper and a pen, or let me grab my phone and take some notes, because we're talking about action. And it's about things that you can do to move you towards the goal. We all know each other's drive and passion in life and in business. And when somebody says, hey, I'm having this idea, but I'm kind of stuck, that's where this level of action conversation can come in. Or, hey, I'm doing this, I want to take it to the next level. What have you done? Okay, those conversations, my gosh, those conversations are powerful, because we're sharing with each other and we're helping each other shorten their learning curve or curve to success. Action conversations, to me, are truly the most exciting. They are amazing. And it allows you to be vulnerable, right? Because you're talking about things that you would like to do, or things that you said you were going to do, and you haven't done them yet, or you're stuck. And it allows you to be in a place of receiving and getting out of your own head for a while and hearing great ideas from other people. In addition, when it's the other way around, we get to contribute in a way that provides potential action steps or actions to be taken to help that person continue to move forward on their journey. And then the last level, which is level 5, which is success. This is a fun one. I want to preface this by saying this is not braggadocious. This is not about, look at how awesome I am, look at me, look at me. Yet there is an oddity about talking about wealth with each other, about talking about what you're going to do with if you're rich, or you've got enough money to do fun things, whatever that is. This level of conversation about success is amazing. And what I love, and I go back to the dinner table at Easter, people were talking about what they were doing, whether it was taking one of their bucket list trips, or whether it was investing in someone, a human being, financially to help them on their journey, whether it was giving back of your time and going and doing something pretty awesome and volunteering. This level of success we don't talk about very often, because we view it as bragging. Right? This is where some magic can happen and inspiration can happen, because I'm not judging myself against them, and I'm not trying to put myself in a superior position if I'm in a higher level of wealth than somebody at that table. That's not it. But to have the conversations about the trips you're going to take, the things you're going to do, maybe a secondary home, maybe a vacation home, maybe investing in a VRBO, maybe investing in a real estate opportunity, maybe investing in a startup, whatever that is, to have those conversations about success, that is inspiring because it's not about a comparison game. Oh my gosh, I'm just not as good as them. It's really about a possibility game. And that's what I love about this. And that's where I want to keep this in check. I want this conversation to be in check. It is not about ego. It's not about how much better you are than somebody else. But when I share a story or somebody else shares a story of their success and what they're able to do, if I'm not there or they're not there, my whole intention and this sacred group of friends that I have here, all of our intention is it cracks open the door of possibility. I mean, if one person can do it, multiple people can do it. I never get this right, but there's a story right about somebody who broke the mile. They did it in record time that nobody had ever done before. And as soon as they broke the record, like 6 other people did it. You can look it up, you can Google it, get the details. But really all that did was it created that this was possible for other people. So that's how I view this level of success conversation. I view it as creating the space of possibility for myself and for others, and to hearing what other big things people are doing that I may have never even thought about or heard of. And it could become a financial opportunity for me. It could be, hey, tell me more about that investment you're doing. Is it possible for me to be part of that? Is it possible for me to have you come join me in this project I'm working on? This is a cool level. So what I want you to think about, again, the 5 levels from lowest level to highest level: conversations about the past, low level; conversations about people in a demeaning or gossiping way, low level. You start to turn up the volume on the conversation when you get to the value stage, where you're talking about things, you're spitballing ideas, you're talking about pros and cons, you're helping each other out there. That is where we start to turn the heat up on a more powerful conversation. And then we have action, where you talk about action steps you're going to do. People help you get through maybe a barrier or a ceiling if you're stuck. It gets you excited about what you're going to go do, or you help them decide what they're going to go do. And then the highest level is when you get to share and talk about success. And again, it's not from an ego or a brag position. It's really about creating possibility and experiences for other people. So this to me is really important when I'm starting to evaluate a chapter of my life that I'm in. And I think I've shared this with you all before. I don't think there's ever a finish line. At least that's not how I'm living my life. And I'm not talking spiritual finish line. I'm talking about a finish line of contribution in life. And I've said this before. One of my old coaches, Diana Kokoska, said this, and I love her for telling me this, was you don't ever slide into home plate. Okay. And so there's always more in the tank. And when I think about that, and I think about the life that I'm choosing to live and the impact that I'm choosing to make in the world, my legacy, I realize I cannot spend much time hanging out in conversations that are stuck in the past or stuck about talking about people. I can't. That is going to be like trying to walk through quicksand. It's going to prevent me from moving forward. It's going to deplete the energy completely out from beneath me. So if my true intention is to live a life of abundance, is to live a life of wealth, to live a life of making an impact, then I have to be strategic about the spaces that I put myself in for conversations or relationships. You can look at this either way. You can look at it as relationship pyramid, or you can look at it as a conversation pyramid. I have to be intentional. And so I'm going to ask you, think about the 5 people that you spend the most amount of time with. I want you to take out this pyramid, and I want you to write it in level 1 is past, level 2 is people, level 3 is value, level 4 is action, level 5 is success. And I want you to take each person that you spend the most amount of time with and assess where you are in your level of conversation with them. If you're not a 3 and above, I'm going to ask you to evaluate that and see if it's somebody that, if you brought this to their attention, could evolve to a healthier, more productive level of conversation. And if they're not, I'm not saying you erase them from your world. I'm just saying you limit your exposure, or you go into it just knowing, hey, this is going to be one of those nights where I'm not going to get much out of this and I have to protect my energy. So I can only do this occasionally. Or, hey, I may not just go out with this person alone anymore, one-on-one. They're going to have to be part of a group. So I do get a little bit of value, action, and success. So just going to ask that you sit with the 5 people you spend the most amount of time with and figure out where you are in this pyramid. This is key. If you're not moving towards your goal or you're slowing down towards your goal, chances are you're spending a lot of time with people that are stuck in level 1 and 2. And that's just the truth. How you do anything is how you do everything. And if I'm having low level conversations, what in the world makes me think that I'm going to have high level results in business and life? I'm not. So if you're feeling a little stalled out, if you're feeling a little stuck in your career or life, look at the 5 people and evaluate where they are. If they're low level conversations, you must engage in higher level conversations with other people or drive the conversation you're having with them if it's possible. They may not be the big thinkers that you need to or want to be around to live your best life and have your best business. So please know that this is coming from a place of love. When I walked away from that conversation at dinner that night, I was so depleted that I knew I had to figure something out. And I thought back to this model that I've used, and I thought this is exactly what happened. It was a very low level conversation and it lasted for 2.5 hours. And I was completely in a place of funk. And I don't want that to happen again or to happen very often. So I'm just going to ask that you do the same thing. I'm here to help you create your best business, your best life. And this is part of it. So this goes to who you spend the most amount of time with. Use this tool to assess. Use this tool to either grow the conversation or limit the conversation. I can't tell you how important this one thing is. So, all right, you guys are the best. I appreciate you being here. And if you need a copy of this PDF, shoot me an email, tony@rethinkcoaching.com. You can find me on Instagram, Tony M. Caliendo. Just shoot me a DM on that. I'll send over the PDF, but really it's just a pyramid drawn with the 5 levels. And the highest level is level 5, right? And that's where we're talking about success. So don't shy away from that. All right, team, we'll talk to you in a week. Go crush it. Make it a good week. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, you must come check out the Mindset Architect Group Coaching Program. It's our monthly program where we explore the power of your mindset, help you identify what you truly want in business and life, and then help you reach those goals. Come check us out at rethinkcoaching.com/group-program. That's rethinkcoaching.com/group-program. We'll see you there.